Well, in the first place, I have to thank you that you want to interview me on this project because it's one of my favorite projects. Well, I think it's so important that those girls who are for a part forgotten, that they get a face and a name and that people get to know about them, that we know about their lives, that we know that their lives are so difficult and that we can try to do something about it. I also spoke to a lot of those girls, and I think it's important that we really know how can we start policies? How can the government start policies? How can anyone start policies if we don't know more about their plight? It's a group that's easily forgotten because it's only girls, you know, that's often how people look at it. And they are also human beings. They also want to have a life of their own with prospects and a job and good times and bad times. So I think with this project, there are more possibilities for those girls. In the first place, it's so important that we also look at the girls that are already married. Lots of girls are married 12 years. Then within 1 year, they get a baby because I think that's the cultural norm. If you start that early, you get a baby within 1 year. What we try to do is also, after the first baby, that they space the next one, that they don't have 2 girls in 2 or 3 years. And then for them, their life is maybe over. I think that we give them, or that the project gives them the possibility to make something of their life. We try to make them go back to school, or we try to make them get some skills so that they can have a better job. And then later, they can have another baby if they would want to. Because don't forget, if you're 12 years when you marry and you have to have a baby when you're 13, your body is not made for that. Girls are not made to have babies at 12, 13, 14. So I think that's also the importance of this project, that we teach them to space more, because girls should have a life too. And girls 12, 13, 14-year-old are not meant to be housewives and mothers. That's really too young. And they have to deal with so much other things in their community. It's just too much. And I also think that if you talk about child marriages, that in a way it's gender-based violence, because they encounter so much violence, not because other people want to hurt them, but maybe men don't know how to deal with it. So also I think that early marriage, too young marriage, is also a form of gender-based violence. That's really what I think. And of course we can do much more. We can give more of them a voice and a face. I think that's important. I think it's also important to create the possibilities that those girls can do something, that they can go to school, that they can learn. It's also important that you have laws that prevent girls from getting married too young. Because sometimes maybe in the community they want the girls to marry young, or the parents are too poor, so the girl has to be married off. So I think laws are also possible. But what I think that ultimately the best option is, when I look at my own country, nobody marries at 12, 13. They don't want to. They don't even marry at 18 or 20. They marry much later because they want to have an education, they want to have a job, they want to have a life, they want to travel. So I think that when girls have more possibilities to go to school, to study, and to work, in having a job, in having a form of independence, then the whole problem will be less, because then they think, I'm not going to do it. I'm my own woman and I want to have a life for myself. So I think investing in education will also help. That's a little bit what I talked about. If girls have more possibilities to go to school, to get training, to be able to have jobs, then I think the whole problem will at least be less. And of course, public sector, as I said, good laws and good execution of laws, that's also something that has to be done. And I think it's being done here in Bangladesh, but I think that will help. And the private sector, of course, can help by having training programs for girls like that. And you know, well, let's go to the garment sector. In the garment sector, of course, not everything is already okay in the garment sector, but the garment sector does provide for a lot of work for girls. And what I hear a lot is that girls, young women, or women in general, are so happy with their independence because they earn a living, they earn money, that makes them stronger, and that helps so much for their well-being. And I think if girls are aware that they don't have to get married at 12, that they don't have to do that, if they are aware of that, I think that will help. And if parents are aware that also for them economically it's more beneficial if they have a job, and well, of course, after having had an education, then they can contribute also to the household of the parents. So I think if we take care that all our girls get to go to school longer, get an education, get a job, be aware of their possibilities, because Bangladesh is full of promising young women. Bangladesh is full of young girls that can do really so much good for this world. So I think if everybody is more aware of that, and girls especially, if we take care that the media presents this picture, and that of course is what your project has done, if the media does more about portraying these young girls, about talking to young girls, that young girls know more about their own situation. Because if they know through the media more about platforms that there are, possibilities for them to talk to other girls in the same situation, that there are more possibilities for going to school, even if you're married and even if you have a baby, I think that will help so much. And it will be so beneficial for Bangladesh, because then you have so much extra talent and workforce and everything. And happiness, of course, as well. Because ultimately, you want everybody to have the possibility for a happy life. Boys and girls. Oh yeah, and also what I once told one of the young men we were also working with, he was married to a child bride. I told him that if you have a more balanced relationship with your wife, then it's also nicer for you. If you have a wife to whom you can talk and tell your sorrows or your happiness, it also gives you a better life. And he really had to agree with me, because it's better if you get along well. It's better for everybody, even for the mother-in-law. And I think I can say that because I'm a mother-in-law myself. Show people through the media, through all kinds of media, what is happening to these girls and what is possible. I would like to focus on possibilities. Of course, you have to know about their lives, but you also have to know about the possibilities. Girls have to see it, community leaders have to see it, religious leaders have to see it, everybody has to see it. And really, if you do more with these girls, if those girls learn to do more with themselves, it's really a win-win situation. Here in Bangladesh, with whomever you're working, but especially with women, with young women, with girls, you have gold in your hands. There is so much possible in this country. You have such a wealth of youth. So high, there are such high numbers of people that can do and advance this country. It's really gold in your hands, so please treat it as gold. I remember a girl, I think her name was Shakina, and I talked to her, and I think she had 2 children. She was married at 12, and I think she was 16 at the time I talked to her. She said to me, "My life is over. I have 2 children. My life is over. I really don't want to live anymore, but I will keep on living just because of my children." And I thought, it's so sad that a girl 16 years old has to think, my life is over. And then I think back, of course, to my own daughter. Of course, she's way older than 16, but when she was 16, for her, the world was going to start. She thought, I'm 16, I'm almost grown up. That's what you think, of course, at 16. The whole world is at my feet. I can do whatever I want. And I hope that that feeling is also available for all Bangladeshi girls.